Okay, folks, so I'm going to begin now. Thank you for being here this evening on behalf of Dr. Danica Rux, the Deputy Chancellor of School Leadership, and Sharon Mincher, who's back there, so hello Sharon, the Senior Executive Director for State and Federal Education Policy and Planning. We welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is David Graber. I'm the Director for State and Federal Programs, supporting Middle School 224. I want to express our sincere appreciation for everyone for the time to be best and participate in the receivership hearing for Middle School 224. I want to be clear up front that tonight's hearing is not about school closure. New York City Public Schools deeply values the public feedback being shared this evening. Your voices are welcomed, are not only welcomed, but essential to this process. I repeat, your voices are essential to this process. And we look forward to the important insights that will emerge as a result of your participation this evening. So at this time, we're going to take a moment to pause for the translation services available for tonight's hearing. In the back, if you need headphones, you can get headphones in a variety of languages. We have Spanish in the back there, he's showing you.
Buenas tardes. Tenemos en español. Pasen a la parte de atrás, por favor, si son tan amables, para que puedan colocarse el dispositivo. José, para servirles, su intérprete de hoy. Creo que está Graciela, también está en el equipo.
مساء الخير للجالية العربية اللي تتواجد مع هذا الاجتماع باللغة العربية. تستطيعون الحصول على أجهزة التسمع والإرسال من التقنيين في الخلف اتصالا. وشكرا واهلا بكم.
Bonsoir tout le monde, si nous avons besoin d'interprétation en langue créole, nous avons un derrière. Bonsoir tout le monde, si nous avons besoin d'interprétation en langue créole, nous avons derrière.
Bonsoir tout le monde, aussi ça a besoin d'un interprète en français, et ben je parle le français. Voilà, je suis interprète français.
Merci, gracias, etc. Thank you very much, translators. Appreciate you being here this evening. So it's now my pleasure to introduce the panelists for this evening. Joining us are Superintendent Dr. Roberto Padilla, Principal Uche, and I've got Deputy Superintendent Maisha Etienne over here. Okay, so I will now turn it over to Superintendent Padilla to officially begin this evening's hearing.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Graber. On behalf of the District 7 community and district team, just want to formally just welcome everyone to tonight's hearing and express our gratitude and appreciation for trekking this weather to be here today. And also want to reiterate something that Mr. Graber just noted. As of today, no decision about the future of 224 has been made. So we welcome, I second the notion of just welcoming your ideas before a decision is actually made. So I will spend a little time just going over school receivership as it's defined by New York State. And then shortly thereafter, I will turn it over to Principal Njoku. So much of this is very technical. I won't bore you by reading this, but we'll ask you to review the essence of what's about to be explained. So quickly, just you should know that school receivership is part of education law in New York State. In 2015, state lawmakers and the governor created a very specific section in ed law that highlights the origin of school receivership as a program to support the most struggling schools in New York State. And as you can see, pursuant to the ed law 211-F in the commissioner's regulations, there are certain authorities that are given to districts, specifically superintendents, in the effort to support receivership schools. Very specifically, this is about enhanced authority to manage and operate schools that have been identified as a receivership school with the expectation that they demonstrate demonstrable improvement over a very specific time frame once a school is identified in this particular accountability system. Just to unpack the school receivership and those authorities that I'm highlighting, all right? So as you can see by what's on the slide, again, in accordance to Ed Law 211-F, the authorities are designed to support receivership schools in the following area: overall school governance, school leadership and staffing, collective bargaining agreements, engagement with parents and the community, SEL supports for the school, new and enhanced district support, and financial resources. All right. Uniquely, because New York City operates different from the rest of the 732 school districts in the state, we have a chancellor unlike other school districts. So in this case, uniquely in this case, the law specifies that the chancellor and his or her designee, which in this case would be me, ultimately have receivership powers, all right? And so those receivership powers ultimately, by law, would allow me to review and make changes to the school budget, make essential changes to the school program and curriculum, require staff members to reapply for their positions, mandate specific professional development, expanding the school day or school year. This next one isn't very common, but it has happened before: converting to a charter school. That is also in the law. Requesting changes to the collective bargaining agreements, and or converting the school to a community school. As you can imagine, none of us want to ultimately be here to have this designation, but given its new designation, it now also means that there are specific timeframes by which demonstrable improvement must be had, right? So we know there's an initial two-year period. If a decision to continue in its structure or modified structure, there will be a 2-year period to show very specific improvement. As you can imagine, if any receivership school in New York State does not show demonstrable improvement over this period of time, then obviously other things would happen. I'll speak to them in a minute. Okay. Some of these things that you're going to see on the screen have already taken place, such as conducting a public hearing, which is legally required to take place within 30 days of the designation. I want to quickly note, because again, there is a difference between New York City and New York State, but you'll see here a community engagement team mostly applies to districts outside of New York City, given that in New York City we have school leadership teams. However, as a result of the new designation, this is an expanded school leadership team. And so we will be following the requirements to have an expanded school leadership team. Ultimately, all plans have to be approved, right? And so this is a slightly different kind of plan than what schools normally do on a year-to-year basis, all of which still require SED approval. In addition, now there'll be requirements to provide quarterly reports specifically around the areas that the school must improve in. And then there'll be required monitoring visits. Again, all in the spirit of making sure that the school is moving closer and meeting the targets for what New York State has identified. So very specifically, given that I mentioned that each receivership school in New York State must show demonstrable improvement, what should be noted tonight is that a receivership school must meet 67% or more of those targets set by the state. If a school meets fewer than 40% of those targets, then as you can imagine, then there are other things that will immediately be taken into account, one of which unfortunately could be school closure, right? So it's important to know that these are targets that will be set, they will be public, they will be communicated, and what the expectations ultimately are in a very short-term timeline to meet a majority of those demonstrable improvement targets. Again, I kind of touched on this already, but for the sakes of what is in the law, all right, just so there's no confusion, right? This community engagement team, or in New York City, it's the school leadership team, will ultimately be an expanded school leadership team, which could include me serving and being a member of that school leadership team, or a designee that I identify. So again, a couple of just additional requirements for receivership schools that you can see that I've mentioned, just including quarterly reports, online, on-site technical assistance, collaborative review sessions, and performance review sessions. There are opportunities throughout the year to provide updated plans to SEPs, again, based on information that we are collecting, and hopefully activities that reflect improvement that has taken place. And then lastly, just in terms of exiting receivership status, which is everyone's ultimate goal. Again, I'll stress, just because it's now been in a couple slides, so long as any receivership school meets those targets set by New York State, there are obviously then opportunities to then exit receivership status and progress to the other designation levels identified by New York State. And so with that said, I'm now going to pass it over to Principal Njoku to share updates for 224.
So good evening, everyone. So as you guys know, who's Peter as a principal, I can't sit up. I just can't sit. I got moving around. So first of all, what I want to do is welcome parents. I know it's been a long day, especially the past couple of days with the weather and everything. So I'm really grateful for you being here this evening. Those of you who were here, staff of MS224 being here as well. Thank you so much, because I know you could be at home with your kids, your loved ones, but you're here this evening. So I want to thank you for that, and everyone else who was here. So again, my name is Uche Lawrence Njoku, I'm the principal here at MS224, and this is. I take a little different bent here because I think it's very important that everyone who's in the room understands the story of 224. Okay, the school went into receivership, not receivership, CSI status in 2019. And so for you to understand that my first day with my team here was May 1st, 2023. So this presentation is going to be interactive, there's a couple of videos in there, but I will stay within a 30-minute time frame. Only limit to what a child can do in the classroom is the belief that the adults around them have. If you say a kid can only do this, they'll only do that. If you say a child can do anything, and the kids understand that in this space you can do anything, they'll do anything. When I got here, I was the third principal in 3 years, being asked to turn the school around, and I'm asking myself, how do I get kids to love school again? So the first thing I did was get to know the kids.
Welcome to this episode of the Best Middle School Podcast. Today we have the honor of having Dr. Padilla in the house. So welcome. How are you? How are you feeling?
Good. Excited to be here.
The studio is the surprise of my first year here at MS224. As the year went on, I said, you know what, let's go ahead and now prototype this. Let's create a school podcast. And kids got really into it. Kids were like, hey, mister, can I have my own show? Can I do this? It's not just about dreaming about it. It's about creating a space where kids can actually go in and actually create.
So we are now moving into our argumentative essay portion of our Regents exam.
We're building out a program, Regents for All. This is year one, and they're studying for 3 regions: Living Environment, Algebra 1, and ELA.
We always talk about kids being college ready. We never talk about them being high school ready. When we first started our program, we told them they had to be at 7 a.m. And they were like, I'm not coming at 7 a.m. And then they all came at 7 a.m. Right? Because they felt special They felt like I'm not just a trouble kid. I am someone who can do great things, and I'm going to be in this space. A lot of people think kids don't want to learn. They do want to learn. You just have to teach it them in a way that they're going to be receptive to it.
Can you tell me what this is?
Yeah.
Guarantee there's a kid right there right now who's flying that drone thinking to themselves, man, maybe one day I could be a pilot. There's another kid probably sitting there thinking like, oh wow, this is cool, I can make a movie. Like, these are skills that literally right now, there are people out there who are training on how to maneuver those things. Think about how much further they're gonna be. Whether it's drones, whether it's operating studio equipment, AI and programming, like all these things you hear about, you're usually not thinking about kids in these communities. But my thing is, give them the tools. Why not? I don't want you to just go out there into the real world and survive. I want you to go there and thrive.
Excellent.
Okay, so what you're learning here doesn't stay here. You actually take this learning with you.
We are Bronx, and we're gonna bring it. Like the Bronx brings it.
They said the architect.
That's the type of attitude we have. It's not where you are, it's what you're bringing to where you are.
So, 2019, when Mr. 24 first went into receivership, it had 42% crime absenteeism, which is almost half of the kids didn't have enough seat time in the classrooms in the building to be academically successful. We had 98% attendance, which is below city average, and yearly proficiency was at 11%, and math proficiency was at 4%. The driving force around the work that we did and we are doing is around these two sentences. We're not chasing scores, but we're engineering growth. So now, we took on a three-step process here. Number one, implementation. Implementing the things that were missing in the school. Number one, what did teaching and learning look like in the classroom? Number two, stabilizing things. How do we go from a space that's been off kilter for over a decade and bring stability to the school community? And then acceleration. One of the things that I remember very clearly that I was told by Dr. Padilla is that you got to up the rigor. How we push the kids beyond what they're used to. So we took a three-layered approach here. Number one, we shifted the culture. One of the things that I did was this, when I first got here, was I sat with kids. I asked them, how do you feel about 224? A lot of them said, I don't feel safe. Everyone who knows anything about the history of 224 will tell you that was like literally the identity of 224. That's a school where you didn't know what was going to happen. So we shifted that. We created a space where kids felt welcomed and were seen and heard. And number two was instruction. My first day, May 1st, 2023, was the last day of the math state exams. I remember walking into the building and asking, are we testing? Was there testing happening today? Because it was right below testing, and the hallways, when I say it sounded like lunchtime, like they were in recess. So, and then not only that, walking into classrooms, there was barely any teaching happening. Not because teachers didn't want to teach, not because students didn't want to learn, but that synergy, that space where you could say, this is what we're doing here, didn't exist, or at least barely existed. So we had to buckle down on our school culture, and then what instruction was like in the classroom. Then the other thing too is that we had a lot of kids who were alone. For many years, 224 was a school where kids who couldn't move from other schools were kind of like cyphered too. So we said, you know what, interventions. How do we make sure we give our kids what they need? At 224, we welcome every child. We don't push children away. We don't say, oh, because of what we send you in the program, you can't come here. Absolutely not. So now, attendance was the beginning. If you're not in school, you're not learning. Plain and simple. If you're not in the building, how can we teach you? 2019, 42% chronic absenteeism. 2021-22, when we came back from the pandemic, was at 52% chronic absenteeism. As of right now, this year, we're at 32%. kids are coming to school. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are we still driving? Yes, we are. We're still pushing to get that number into like the 20s and 10s. But again, a 10% drop from 2019, and not only that, a 20% drop from 22. Now, why are we here? Student performance. Over the course, so this is a graphic. So the darker color is our E-League performance. The purplish color, which should be blue, is our math performance. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. The academic floor, going back to 2019, was 11%. Out of the pandemic was 27%. Today, we're still at 27%. Now, someone would say, wait a minute, you're not growing. What's going on? Remember, different students were coming into our school with every graduating class. But not only that, during this time, we had to spend time really buckling down and adopting EL curriculum, making sure our teachers had the skills and what they needed to really be able to teach in the classroom, making sure our kids had the foundational skills. So I would say right now, we are literally on a launching pad. We're literally on a launching pad. Math, which is very interesting, 4% 2019, 5% 2022, and then as of today, we are at 14%. So one would see this and say, wow, that's double-digit growth, right? However, this is what's interesting. Our first year together as a team, our first year, we were at 21%. Yeah. Some people would say that was a miracle, but we did everything we needed to do for our kids, providing all the supports they needed. So the question is, what happened the following, down to 14 last year? We implemented new curriculum. Now, one thing I want to tell you is this: when you're rising like a plane that's been sitting on the runway for way too long, you're gonna stutter. You're gonna go up, go down, go up, go down. But I'm telling you right now, we are rising, without a doubt. And to further evidence that is this. This is a piece of data that is not measured by the state, but it's important. So these are Regents pass rates from last year. Yes, at MS224, our kids staff of the Regents. Regents high school level coursework, I was told the mandate was increased rigor. So we said for our 8th graders, we're gonna push them, prepare our 6th graders and 7th graders to get to the EPSC for Regents. So these are the pass rates. Yes, some of them are low, some of them are high. But mind you, this is high school level work. I was a high school principal. I've been in high school districts where this is almost typical. But we're doing this here at a middle school. And look at global studies. 61% of our 6th graders pass global studies. It's a 2-year coursework. We did it 1 year. So, and mind you, this was our first time doing it last year. So why is this all important? So, check this out. 2019 versus 2025. In 2019, chronic absenteeism was 42, today is 32. Attendance was 89, now it's 91. Teachers with 3 or more years of experience was teachers at the foundation. They want to be in space where they're appreciated and being treated right and given the tools to succeed. We're from 69% to 70% of our teachers. That means they're staying. In 2019, first of all, I can't say passed, serious students passed, it wasn't offered, period. And remember, most middle schools offered algebra and biology and living environments. We offered a multitude of regions, and we had 52 students who passed. Meaning they're going to high school. In some cases, we had kids who passed 3, 4 regions, meaning they're already halfway to the graduation requirements, walking in as freshmen. But the other number I want to share with you is that if you add our first year together, remind you, this is year 2.5. We've had those 67 kids pass regions here at MS224. So, yearly proficiency level was 11% in 19, 4% in math in 19, Right now, we're seeing 27 and 14%. And please, don't think I'm saying that this is where we want to be and this is amazing. Just showing you the work that we're putting in. So now, today, I love this. This is very crucial. Remember I said about kids being in the building. If they're in the building, then we can teach them. Right now, 64% of our kids, 6 to 8, are passing all their courses. Not just passing courses, passing all their courses. That number would be higher if I said, okay, failing at least one class. We're probably bumping up to about 80%. But right now, based on passing all your courses, 64% of our 6 to 8 graders. Our 8th graders right now, 71% of them are passing all their courses. Okay? And again, to give you a deeper look into our student population, 59% of our students have IEPs, are exceptional learners. 46% of our kids are multilingual learners. They're youth in the country, still picking up the language. And 39% of our kids are in temporary housing. Now, why is this important? I think this is what I'm most proud of. Amongst many things we've done in our school. This is a list of kids from this, over the course of the past 2 years who've gained admittance into selective high schools in New York City. Something that did not happen here prior to 2023. And I'm going to show you one thing that's very interesting here. If you're familiar with the Math Center for Science and Mathematics in Harlem, we have 5 kids who got into that school. A lot of our students are dreaming about heading into fashion industries. We have students who are attending there. But the one that I would have to tell you that's very important to further show the work that we're doing here. Last year, Stuyvesant, okay, and if I'm incorrect, please correct me, had 3 Black students in their freshman class and 8 Latino students in their freshman class. And Stuyvesant's a big school. I'm gonna say about 800 kids coming in, 3 and 8. One of those Latino students of the 8, Xavier Rondon, was our student. Not only did he get into Stuyvesant, he got into Baruch College, and not only that, he turned down Horace Mann, one of our elite private schools in the city. He turned them down. You want to stay public, okay? Again, that's what we're doing here. One of the things people keep asking me, like, what's been one of the factors that's changed the school? So the school is named Science School for Exploration and Discovery. When I got here, there was not a lot of science happening. There was not a lot of exploration. There was not a lot of discovery. However, we said, how do we rebrand the school to give it an identity and make it a place that kids want to come to? Okay, so we started a digital media communications program. Our kids on their phones all day, they love social media. So we said, why don't we teach them how to create content? Photography, videography, podcasting. And as a result, this happened. That's the video.
Now this is a fabulous story. A New York City middle school was on the verge of closing its doors, leaving hundreds of kids to find a new place to learn until that principal came up with an idea, trading in the traditional notebooks and pencils for podcast microphones and TV cameras instead.
And welcome to this episode of the Best Middle School Podcast. And here with us, we have...
The Best Middle School Podcast is an entirely student-run operation, and it's totally rejuvenated what was once a school on the chopping block into a thriving community. Joining me now, I have the principal and author of AI-Enhanced Leadership, Prototyping the Future for Schools and Communities, Uche Njoku, and one of the hosts of the Best Middle School Podcast, 8th grader Miley Roque. Guys, welcome from your media hub. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is just such a great story. I've been eager to talk to you. Uche, let me talk with you. I mean, your school was on a list for potential closure just 2 years ago. What sparked this idea for you, and what did it take to bring it to life?
So the funny thing is, most school principals struggle with cell phones in the school. And what happened was I was asking myself, why are the kids more engaged in their cell phones than with us as teachers in the classroom? Social media. So I decided to take what has been the bane of our existence to be something productive. So teaching the students how to create content became the foundation for our program in creating a school that's based on digital communications. So now we're teaching the kids podcasting, graphic design, filmmaking, and they're hooked.
Yeah. Miley, when you heard that this was going to be an option for you, what did you think about this program and this new class at school?
Honestly, I feel like I really liked it because it's like Mr. Njoku said, like all of us students are always on our phone anyways. And like me and my friends, we like making vlogs and stuff. And whenever we get the chance to meet new people, it's kind of like a learning experience because then they tell us more about their background and where they came from. So it's like the podcasting just like created an environment for us to learn more, but also do something that we also liked.
Yeah, and Uche, tell me, how many kids just immediately flocked to you and said, "Sign me up, sir. I got to be part of this."
So last year I was experimenting with about 4 kids. And next year, there was a line of kids saying, "I want to do a podcast too. I have an idea. I want to do a TikTok." So that was last year. So this year we have full-fledged classes now. So we have a class in audio engineering. We have a class in graphic design, and then we have an after-school program in cinema and photography. So now it's a mainstay in our school now.
Yeah, and Miley, tell me about the shows. You know, you're one of the hosts here. What are the shows like? Who do you interview, and what's been one of your favorite interviews to date so far?
Doing the podcast, I feel like I said, it's a very like important thing for me now. I feel like that's kind of who I've become in a way. And it's just given me so many opportunities. And honestly, out of everybody who I've met, I really like Miss Misha Porter, because she has also grew up in the Bronx.
She's from Queens.
She was from Queens.
That's our former chancellor, Dr.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, I feel like when we had that conversation, I feel like I also took it kind of personal because she is a female too. So it's like being able to talk to a female who also grew up in the area is kind of like important to me in a way.
Yeah, it's such a learning experience for everybody involved. And lastly, Principal Uche, before I let you go, what's your message to other schools who are on the chopping block? They're struggling. They're trying to figure out how to bring back new life to the kids in campus. What's your words of wisdom and piece of advice?
I say this, it's very important that we stop teaching yesterday. Technology is here, and it's not just about putting laptops in front of kids. It's about actually engaging in the medium, everything from artificial intelligence to just putting a camera in the kids' hands. And asking the kids as well, what do you want to do? What do you want to experience? And that's a conversation I'm having with my kids all the time, and they'll tell you. And it's all about creating that space that's engaging for them. Yeah. It's not about us, it's about the kids.
Yeah, and meeting them where they are right now today.
Exactly.
Uche Njoku, Miley Roque, thank you both so much. Wishing you the best of luck, and we're listening from afar. Thank you guys for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's early on a Thursday.
6:30 in the morning, Miley came to the school, we sat there, and it was live. No one, listen, if you had told me at any point in time that this mission of getting the school right would land us as a school on national news, I'd have been like, get out of here. But we sat there and the world saw what we were doing at MS224. So now, some data points I think is very important. As of recent, business satisfaction ratings from our families around communication, 96%. Students feel safe. Remember I said, one of the first time I asked students about the school, they said they did not feel safe. 86%. And I'm trying to get that to that 100. Because every child should feel safe, no matter what. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, safe at all times. But right now, we're at 86%. Family school trust, 96%. And 79%, that's my badge of honor, is leadership service, it's on leadership. I ask a lot of our kids. You know, I'm a quiet taste for a lot of our families. You know, any family you've had multiple sons here, and you know, like I don't play, but I think it's all love. And so that number hopefully by tomorrow will be 80%. But again, this signifies the work that we're doing as a collective. So I'm wrapping up right now. A couple of things that I just, for my brain, I had to write down. So from free fall to ascent, we are not finished. We stabilized during the curriculum transition. We rebuilt teacher capacity. We reclaimed culture. We expanded Regents access. We improved attendance. And one more thing about Regents. We don't pick who sits for the Regents. Every kid, every child, every student has access. Last year, year before, we had students with IEPs, exceptional learners, who passed all 4 Regents. Passed all 4 Regents. We improved attendance. We built intervention architecture. We inherited collapse. However, we installed systems. We built belief. And in 2026 proficiency results, when 2026 proficiency results were released, they will not only reflect a miracle, they will reflect discipline. Everything we've done, we've been consistent. And be consistent. MS224 is no longer the school where people compare themselves against. For a long time, it was easy to say, at least we're not them. My second day actually, I was outside with Mr. Cole, assistant principal, dismissing kids, and a parent walked up to me and says, "Remember that day?" He said to me, "You're the new principal, right? Yo, you need to shut that MF up." And I'm standing there like, whoa. And this is a parent. And I took it. Thank you, man. I welcome your suggestions. But that's where we started from. Now, we believe that we'll be the school that people will study. And how we moved, the way we moved over the past 2 years and beyond. So, in closing, I want to share this video with you. Because at the end of the day, I'm saying a lot of things, but I want you to see the most important part of our school, our community, our students. So, you're going to see a young lady singing. Her name is Joelle Rucker. And Joelle is the infamous voice that starts every podcast by saying, "Welcome to the Best Middle School Podcast." She's now at French Sinatra, and she's studying opera. She's a freshman. No, she's a sophomore. Freshman? Sophomore.
Welcome to the second episode of the Best Middle School Podcast. Today here with us we have Dr.
Hi, my name is Joelle Rucker, and today I'll be singing Sit Nomen Domini by G.F. Handel. Sit nomen Domini, sit benedictum, ex hoc nunc et posce
Today, our students are believing, excelling, striving, and trusting. They no longer leave MS 224 to simply survive. They go on to conquer. So in closing, we are reclaiming our narrative. I can't speak to what happened in 2019 all the way through to 2023. I can only speak from what happened May 1st, 2023. And the teachers who said, I'm gonna stay, those who joined us, and we've been on this beautiful journey since then. There's a quote that I heard out there, at least we're not 224. I'm sorry. They're right, they're not 224. We replace deficit identity with discipline expectations, weekly leadership assemblies, missions and standards reinforced every day, weekly ESL town halls, my school counselors, the whole entire school's in here, and they do it once a week collectively. You know, they pour into our students, your children. Culture is now engineered, not accidental. Again, one more time, 224 is no longer a comparison point. 224 is a transformation case study. Thank you.
Thank you to the hard work of our staff, our families, and absolutely our students. All right, so at this portion of the hearing, this is the Q&A section. And when folks came in to sign up, I believe an index card may have been provided to you to be able to ask some questions. So I was given one index card. So I'll just share, this was a question around why have a meeting like this so late? And while I can understand it certainly is late in the day, but the hours are really designed to be respectful to our families and the hours that they can actually come and fully participate in such a hearing. Understanding that, you know, it's hard to accommodate everyone, but the effort here was really to try to make sure the hearing took place during a time families could actually make it. So what constitutes demonstrable improvement? There are 5 specific indicators, okay? And so we're gonna get into I would say, that's the very technical nitty-gritty of what the next several weeks and months will entail. New York State will be providing us with that context around specifically what 224 will be required to meet in the very short term. All right. And so again, I'll kind of end my comments by just noting what I started with. You know, the purpose of tonight and what will happen thereafter are a number of different kinds of engagements, including a needs assessment, sitting down with faculty and staff, with students, getting ideas from the community around what the community would like to see in terms of an improvement strategy that ultimately will take the school out of receivership. Notwithstanding, all right, just because I think you deserve full transparency and honesty, that all options will be on the table. All right, so this is absolutely about, the future of District 7, the future of this specific school, and just taking a deep, honest look at, where we are today, taking into account, obviously, everything you just heard from our principal, but also taking a look at the history of the school and making ultimately a decision around what the future will entail. All right. All right. Any other question? Okay. Put the microphone maybe at the stand for anybody who would like to come up.
So this is for Principal. Go. This is for Principal Njoku. And I don't know if you'll be able to answer this off the top of your head. I was listening really closely to the story, and I remember when 224 had literal ropes and chains across the hallway in a way that was not there. It's not currently where we are. But the story you told about the data, I think, misses an important thing that should be highlighted, right? So where your children entered in 6th grade and where they left in 6th grade and the growth they had in 1 year there, where they entered in 7th grade and where they left in 7th grade and where they are now. Because I think from what I see as kind of an outside speaking with staff, that is a really important story that talks about the last 2.5 years, because this is the first class that you personally have led from 6th grade to now. And I don't know if you can speak to that cohort data breakdown off the top of your head or not. I don't think it's fair necessarily to ask that, but I think it shows a different story that is really impressive.
Thank you for that. So going to the nitty-gritty numbers, yes, it's going to be kind of complicated right now. Don't have it in front of me, but qualitatively speaking, yes, there is something to be said about, and my team and I, we talk about this all the time, the kids that even the ones that I met, and they were 7th graders when I got here, and going into the 8th grade. And yes, I wasn't with them beyond that 1 year, but there was something to be said about stabilizing the school environment. This young lady who everybody on the staff knows exactly who she is, my first week or two here, not a single child wore uniforms. I saw bellies, I saw stuff I should not be seen on middle school kids. And I said, absolutely not, because I was told there was uniforms. So we said, okay, starting immediately, if you're going to go outside for recess, you got to be in school uniform the whole entire day. You don't get to go to the bathroom and change into uniform. And I remember this one young lady losing her mind. She cursed me from here to the South Pole, my mother, everyone. And but I stayed my course. The community, the staff, the parents, we were on the same page. That young lady is probably, and she always gets embarrassed when I say her name, so I won't say her name here. She is probably one of the kids that I can say that moved my spirit. Yes, to honor her. Like, she still comes back and volunteers every week with the STEM team. She's one of the voices on our podcast. I won't say who she is. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Like, an amazing human being. But the thing was this: we told our students, this is what we expected of you. But now, Bill, to your question, now going further into the kids who are now 7th graders, who are now our 8th graders. There's a calm that they have of expectancy. They're the adults here who, listen, my school counselor will tell you, we had beef when I first got here, because they told me, like, and I told them, why do you have a radio? They're like, because something happens. I'm like, you're not demons. I need you to be what we pay you for, to be the source of that emotional support, that SEL support our kids need. So they did their work, our teachers did their jobs. This 8th grade class, like, they're terrifying. Because again, they know why they're in the building. But I'm gonna tell you something that's even more powerful. Our 6th grade class, the class before them, only 5% of those kids coming in were proficient. And all that means is scoring a 3 or above for state exams. Can somebody tell me what is it now for our 6th grade class right now? 46%. Do what that tells us? Not only our kids coming in proficient, parents are picking this as well. Parents are saying, I trust my child to come to your school and continue on that trajectory of academic success. At a school that, where just 2 years ago, was the lowest performing middle school in the South Boston District 7. So again, I wish I could give you numbers, because there are numbers there, and I'll put them together for you. You can tell enough numbers. But however, that says even more. The fact that parents are willing to say, I'm sending my child to 4 because we trust in what you can do for our child. Hopefully, I hope I answered the question halfway.
Okay, thank you for that question. Since we don't have any other index cards being shared, I will open the floor for anyone who might want to ask a question or make a comment. I'm putting the I should have hit this slide before, but it hasn't been a problem. Just there are some protocols we have to adhere to.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Everidge. I'm a special education teacher at 224. This is a brief comment. My first year here was in 2021. It was my third year teaching. When I got here, or I should say, my first 3 years here, I had a different principal each year. So it was not what we call stable. And the reason I bring that up is because I understand I can't speak to, it's beyond my knowledge about what the requirements are for the quantified progress that has to be shown. But since I've been in this school, the culture that change that we've seen and the stability that we've seen, it's a progress that it can't be maybe quantified in that way, but it's felt. Like I can't even describe to you how different it is when I walked in 2021 to the way it is now. It's very different. So just from my little humble perspective as a teacher, it's something that it's very, very different. So I appreciate that. And it may not be the progress that is needed, by measurement or whatever the benchmarks are, I don't know. But it is progress nonetheless. So I just want to say, make that comment.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to say is much more straightforward. The question I had is, this process of the receivership and the thinking that goes behind it, how much of this, if at all, is contingent upon our upcoming state exam scores?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Similar to what I shared before, everything's on the table. And so because I'm not required to make a decision tomorrow, this is something, again, a needs assessment is going to take place. We're going to comply with what's required by ed law, have the expanded SLT, engage in the requirements and the planning and the site reviews and visits that have to take place. I imagine, right, if I'm being extremely frank, that this year's exams will be taken into consideration. It's only fair for that. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right? So this is about getting a full picture and engaging with the principal and the staff around the future of the school. That decision is so important, it doesn't happen in a back room, right? It's transparent no matter how hard it is, whether it's to stay the course, you saw the information that I shared around the receivership powers that are now, that I now have. I hope I am going to take this extremely serious because it's a big decision. All right. And so, I can confidently say I will anxiously be waiting for the state exam results.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Cole, Assistant Principal at 224. I've been at 224 for 17 years, and in 17 years, I had 8 principals. I had a good relationship with 3, but I had a great relationship with Mr. Njoku. Mr. Njoku and I talk every morning. We discuss how the day we want the day to go. And I just want to say, Mr. Njoku is the only principal that made me a partner in this business of school. So I just want to thank Mr. Njoku for that. Appreciate you.
I'm a parent. This is just a quick suggestion, I guess, maybe. I don't know if attendance or anything has to do with the, anyways, these are just suggestions. Maybe to like increase attendance or anything of that nature, I would say maybe like teacher versus staff or parents versus teacher, sporting events, theater, more theater, dance, use the auditorium is what I'm trying to get at. People like to show up to events, kids like to dance. I got one that's a performer. Let them perform. They want to show their talents in mass audiences. So I would say, just like how you guys did the podcast, that works extremely well. That gets more than just the kids involved, it gets the parents involved. Yeah, and just tell kids that their test scores are important, I understand that. But also that what are they, how can this equate to their real life experiences? It's almost, I know the test scores are important, but they have to understand, how does this equate to my real life experience? How does this help me become wherever I am gonna be? Because think about it, this is only middle school, no disrespect, but it's a big step. They have to be aware of these things now, and also the parents have to be aware of these things now. So they treat it like it's important, and yes, it is like life or death, absolutely. You know? And just kind of stress the importance of grades, life, but also let kids be kids, because they're in this weird middle stage of adulthood, and you know, they're still kids at the end of the day, but let them, in a sense, still be themselves. That's it.
I'm sorry. Did I take your turn? I'm sorry. So, hello, I'm Miss Dash. I'm actually one of the school counselors here. Briella, is that right? Right, okay. Hi. So just to speak to something that you did say, we do have a lot of what you said here. We don't force children though. We are one to like invite the children into those situations. However, a lot of them are a part of it. So we have a step team here, /dance, I'm the coach. We have GEMS, which is our girl empowerment group. We have our boys empowerment group. We have a lot of actual activity staff versus, we do have a staff versus student March Madness, so that's coming up soon, where the kids get to actually, she's a sixth grader, so she's now getting into all of those things, and you will be invited. We have our HBCU takeover where we celebrate our students and knowing about different things about their culture and all those things like that. So we have so much going on here as a school that we look at a child as a whole, not just numbers, right? And I'm a counselor, so that's my job, to look at people as whole people and not just numbers. So yes, we know we have to quantify things. That's wonderful. However, again, we're dealing with human beings in their future, and we're dealing with Black and brown children and their future, which is near and dear to me as being a Black and brown child to us from the Bronx. So when we're looking at our numbers and we're looking at all those things, we want to make sure that our children don't only feel like numbers. We don't want them to feel like they're just a test. They're more than just tests to us, and they're more than just what we see up there. They're so much more, and when you speak to them and engage with them when they're doing the needs assessment, which I'm hoping is done in a specific way, I'm hoping that that needs assessment includes speaking to our students on a real level and speaking to the staff that's been here. I've been here going my 8th year now, and I've had 4 principals. And this was the first principal that said, sit down and do your actual job, where we actually get to tend to our students. We actually get to their social and emotional needs. When I first got here, not gonna lie to you, to set up and speak to it, I was like, what did I get myself into? Because I was a single shepherd and we were placed in this building. And I still decided to stay after going through a lot of turmoil in this building. And it's because I believe in the vision that Mr. Njoku brought here. And as I've watched the children grow, including the class that one of them, Joel, came from, and they had 3 principals when they were here. I know, sorry. Just one quick thing. They had 3 principals when they were here, and they left out here on top. And now they're survivors and they're doing great. So I think that speaks and is a testament to not only what we as a staff do, but how we believe in our leadership here. And that's just it.
reminder, you're welcome to give recommendations as well, please.
I was only going to second what he said about using the auditorium because I felt like being able to participate in like the fun parts of school for my brother, I'm a sister, not a parent, would like make him feel more connected to the school. I would recommend like, I guess more like alerts about like non-serious things, like, you know, obviously you guys are gonna send out like March Madness slips and such, but like possibly emails because for my brother specifically, he often does not clear out his book bag afterwards, so I don't see anything unless he feels like telling me. So that's, you know, emails would be nice.
Okay, so as we bring the hearing to a close this evening, again, let me just express my gratitude and appreciation for taking time out of your schedules. I understand you have other commitments and you chose to be here. Your input is extremely important tonight and thereafter. So if you wish to provide, additional input, make recommendations, you can go to the back table and we can record that. I'll also extend an opportunity to come to the district office, make an appointment with me to sit down. We have representatives from our FACE team here. They'll stay in the front should you wish to just get our contact information to be able to come schedule an appointment. I know enough about Principal Njoku to know that if you wish to come to the school and make an appointment with him, that he would open his door to you and sit down and welcome your ideas. And I'm a big believer that the answer is in the room. And so while this is certainly not a designation none of us wish to have, the question now becomes, what are we going to do about it? So, your input, your recommendations, your ideas are greatly welcomed. All right, so whether you decide to do that tonight or you decide to do that in the coming days or weeks, again, we welcome your input. And so on that, I just want to wish everyone a great night, safe travels home. For those of you who are part of the D7 family, just get home safely so you can arrive safely tomorrow. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.